Okay, so thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Anne-Marie Towers, and I'm the principal investigator of this particular project. It's called the Kent Research Partnership, and we're talking to you today about the launch of our new and very exciting research and training fellowships. If you can move on to the next slide, please, Raza. Because this is a funded research project, I just have to start by saying that everything that we say today are our views and not those of the funder or the Department of Health and Social Care. The Kent Research Partnership is, as the name suggests, a partnership between lots of different adult social care organisations. So we've got the University of Kent and Kent County Council Adult Social Care who are leading the project as a whole. We've also got people from the University of Brighton, Dr. Lizzie Ward down there, you'll see at the bottom. We've got different research centres and parts of the division at the University of Kent. So we've got Dr. Sweta Rajan Rankin from the social work department. We've also got Dr. Farhana Hashem, who is a specialist in health research, but also is our site lead for the research design service, which is quite important because anyone who's thinking of applying for these fellowships, we will be linking you into the research design service. So it's just a flag that we've got these connections within our project. We've also got representatives from CHSS, which is the Centre for Health Services Studies, and PSSRU, which is the Social Services Research Unit. And we have Mr. John Potts, who is our lay representative in Kent. If you could move on. So the aims of the partnership as a whole, essentially, Department of Health and Social Care and the National Institute for Health Research acknowledged that to kind of make up for lost time with social care and build a research culture within social care, we needed to invest. And the aim of this partnership, it's one of 6 that have been funded in England, is to try and build these collaborations between different partners. So higher education, adult social care, but also the wider workforce. So that would be provider organisations, for example, people who are running care homes or domiciliary care agencies, and the staff who work in them. We're using a co-productive approach. So this means that in the first year of the project, we have spent a lot of time building those connections, getting partners to work together and identify what they think are the barriers to participating in research or engaging with research, and identifying the research priorities for our region here in Kent. And we have a variety of different mechanisms that are trying to support and build that research capacity within our region. And I'll take you through those in a moment. A key element of what we're trying to do today is launch our final work package. If you could pop onto the next slide for me, Raza. Our final work package, which is there in green below. And this is a pilot project that practitioners and people working in adult social care can be funded to undertake through research and training fellowships. And as you can see, that particular stream of work or work package, whatever you want to call it, links with all of the other work that we've been doing to date. So for those of you who have already been engaging with the partnership, you'll be familiar with the boxes in blue at the top, which is our communities of practice. Those were launched earlier this year. We have 2 communities of practice. The first one is supporting people with complex needs throughout the lifespan. And the second one is on enhancing, diversifying and sustaining the social care workforce. I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time on these because if you're a member, then you'll already know a lot about them. And if you're not a member, then all I will say is that to be eligible for these fellowships, then you do need to join one of these communities of practice. They're quite low key. You know, we meet once a month for each community of practice online, and we have an online platform called Glass Cubes, which we use to communicate with each other, share information, share opportunities, maybe discuss things that come up in terms of policy or practice. They're quite lively communities, but you can dip in and out of those as much as you like. I would think of those as being not dissimilar to kind of social media platforms, not like Facebook, but they're closed groups. So you can only join them through us by becoming a member of the community of practice. Current members include practitioners, researchers, people with lived experience and their informal carers, for example, people working in adult social care in different roles. So it's a really good place to meet people who have a common interest or want to discuss issues that are coming up within one of these larger communities of practice, and try and come up with research ideas or try and solve problems and support each other, really. So yeah, the main message from today is if you're interested in applying for one of our fellowships, then you do need to be a member of our communities of practice, at least one of them. Okay, so enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Lily, who is one of our researchers in residence working at Kent County Council, and she's going to give you an overview of the research and training fellowships themselves.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So Raza, next slide, please. Thank you. So what are these fellowships? It's not something that we necessarily, not necessarily the language that we use very much in KCC or other places, but we are funding through our project up to 3 individuals working in social care in Kent who will undertake research training and carry out pilot projects on anything relating to our adult social care priority areas. So those are the things related to our communities of practice, but as you've heard, they're pretty broad about either supporting the workforce or supporting people with complex needs throughout their lifespan. So there is a lot of scope for, you know, for any ideas really related to research in adult social care. So the point of the fellowships is to fund successful applicants' time and as well as your research costs. But buying out your time is a really key part of this, so that you will have dedicated, protected time to do these projects. And up to £90,000 is available for each fellow. So it's a substantial amount of money, and as part of the application, you'll need to put your budget together. So obviously we don't expect everyone to need 90,000, but that's how much is available should you need that. And what really makes our fellowships different from other opportunities that you might see for research funding is that our fellows will receive support and mentorship from the wider project team. So us as the researchers in residence, but also academic mentors and other support from our project team throughout your project and beyond. So on to the next slide, please. So who is eligible? So you need to be working in adult social care in Kent, and you need to be an employee of a social care organisation. So that's because we do need your organisational support. But whatever role that you do within adult social care is absolutely fine. So we encourage applications from anybody, regardless of your role, whether you're frontline, whether you're commissioning, whatever it is, you're very welcome to apply. You, as Anne-Marie said, you need to be a member of at least one of our communities of practice that we call COPs, and you can join now if you are not already a member. So just send us an email, we'll include the details at the end. And you need to be somebody who can demonstrate a commitment to research and evidence-based practice. Again, as part of your application, you will have to include a training plan to show your commitment to this. And you need to propose a project that addresses a clear research priority area for one of the COPs, which has the potential to impact social care policy or practice within and beyond your organisation. So another key part of our communities of practice is that all the research we're talking about is practice oriented. We want these to be something that's really useful, and that's why involving people already working in practice is so exciting. So hopefully the research that you do will be useful for you, your colleagues and others. So again, as part of your application, you need to present a convincing argument for how your time on this fellowship will be protected, and you need to demonstrate organisational support from your employer. So we think people might have some questions about that, so we'll come on to that a bit more later. But yes, you need to be having discussions with your line manager, your organisation, and they do need to support you so that you can successfully complete this project. So how do you apply? So first of all, you need to think carefully about your project. There may already be some kind of innovation or area of interest that you have, and it's really worth talking to the researchers in residence. Our colleague Wenjing is not here today, but myself, Raza and Wenjing are the researchers in residence for the project. So make an appointment with us, talk through your idea and the application form, and any questions that you have, we are here to help. You can also pitch your idea at a community of practice meeting. So really the only ones that we have now before the application is due are our November meetings. We'll put the dates up for those in just a minute. But if you're not ready then, you could also post on Glasscubes, which Anne-Marie mentioned as our kind of social media platform. And you can get advice and support from our lived experience working group members. So we have a group of 12 people now who have lived experience of care or caring, and they will also be able to look at your application, talk through your idea and give their views, and they're very knowledgeable and enthusiastic people. But when you are ready to apply and you have your idea, the forms that you'll need are also hosted on Glasscubes. So there's an application form. It's just a Microsoft Word document for you to fill in, and there's detailed guidance notes, so you'll know how much you're supposed to write, what kind of things to include, and what we'll need to see, what you'll be assessed against. And you just need to send the completed form, fully completed, by email to us before 1 o'clock on the 12th of January. So we've extended the deadline. We recognise it's a challenging time, many of our colleagues, but we do need applications before on the 12th of January or before, so that we can assess them and people can get started, because yes, we're a 4-year project and people do need to complete their projects before the end of our project funding. So next slide, please. So here are some important dates coming up. So our next COPs are on the 16th of November for the workforce one, and the complex need one is on the 30th of November. So if you would like to have a brief slot about your idea, please get in touch with us. We'd absolutely love to hear some pitches at those meetings. That's what they're there for. We also have one of our research training sessions coming up that's going to be with Dr. Karin Tunaka, who you may have seen recently on BBC News talking about rural homelessness. She's going to be talking about some of her research around addressing diversity and inclusion, working with people experiencing homelessness. And we will be then following up with the research skills section is going to be on ethnographic and observational methods, which may be of interest if that's not something that you've considered before, especially if you want to do that kind of research already working in an organisation. So just to flag those dates. So what happens next? So everyone will receive feedback on their applications. So whether or not you're successful, it's all part of the training. And we will be providing guidance and advice about how to take your applications forward. But for those who are successful, we anticipate that you will be able to start your projects from around April 2023. But the date that your project starts will really depend on a variety of factors, so your notice period and arrangements with your employer, the type of project that you plan to do and how long that's going to take, whether you're going to do it part-time or full-time. But projects must be completed by January 2025 or earlier, because they need to be finished before our funding for the overall project finishes. And also fellows will be expected to fully engage with our other activities, such as coming along to the communities of practice, potentially participating in some of our training opportunities, and you will be supported by mentors and the wider project team throughout the project. So that's one of the real key differences and exciting opportunities about this particular fellowship, that you will be absolutely supported throughout the application and throughout the project. So we've already had some questions from people that we've spoken to, so I've put these up now because you might need a little time to think about what questions you have. So here are some questions that we've already received. So how much research experience do I need? Is it an individual award? Is it part-time or full-time? Can I apply if I'm in a particular role already? So we will answer these while you're thinking, and then we will open it up. So you're very welcome to post your question in the chat or speak, whatever is more comfortable for you. And just to say that we are still recording, but you will not be be featured in any video that goes on YouTube. If you ask a question that we think other people would like to know the answer to, we'll put a slide or something with your question on. So don't worry, no stupid questions. So I will hand back to Anne-Marie to facilitate.
The applications have to be in by January 2023. You've got to allow a few months for us to look at the application, set up contracts, get you up and running. So if you are successful, then actually what you'll be looking at is maybe an April, May start date next year. And you could then run right the way around for nearly 22 months or so. So there is scope. What I was going to say is that there's plenty of scope for you to pitch your project at the level that suits you. So for some people, that will be maybe more days a week that they want to invest on the project. For other people, it might be very, very part-time. And that's absolutely fine because you've got a long enough time period if you're in this first cohort to be able to set the timelines to work for you. So hopefully that's useful information. Okay, are there any questions? I can see that we've got the project. The way funding works within IHR is that they've made this distinction, and these particular projects were for adult social care. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Ina, do you want to respond?
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Social worker, and I just want to share. I work in hospital, and I could see the nurses on the door. There is a big title, nurse researcher. And I always thought, oh my God, I really want that for social workers. How good would it be, to be a practitioner and a researcher, and believe it's a unique opportunity. You would never have the opportunity to have researchers going along with you, holding your hand, helping you in writing application, helping you and guiding you in writing articles, in doing your research. It's absolutely unique. Please don't let the context put you down.
Thanks, Ina.
Okay.
I think you're so right, because I think we want social care to catch up with health and have the same opportunities as health, and that we realise that there's never a great time to start these things. The sector is already under enormous strain. But I think one of the things that I feel is really important is if we're going to make a change, then we need organisations to get on board and support this as much as the individuals. And that's why we've got all this funding. And as Ina said, I think there is managerial support for this. We just need to break through some of those barriers. And we're good at problem solving. I think there's enough flexibility in this project for us to be able to discuss problems and try and overcome them.
Actually, so the ASY program, what we'll do, you will have a protected workload, you will have some extra study days and some workshops. So on top of that, you would like to do some research. So is your concern that you don't know how the managers will respond or how you will manage your, so how about you combine research with the practice? Because what you do in ASY, sorry, it's very noisy around, so I'm not sure if you can hear. What you do in ASY, you look at the PCF and how you can demonstrate those, but I think you can be creative enough to combine the research and to show through research your skills and everything you need to prove for the ASYE. But I think it's a discussion outside, because if we know kind of the area you would be interested to do the research, what ideas you have, then we can think and support. You will have two ASYE coordinators who are very good to support you, and you will have a practice educator, so you'll have a lot of support around you. I think it's more about knowing your personal circumstances and how you will manage that to juggle family, personal life, meeting friends, work, and research. So I think that's an interesting one.
So I think also the other thing is, one of the things to bear in mind as well is that we will have a second cohort which will launch next year. So there will be opportunity if you miss the boat this time around to do it next time, but it will be more limited because you will have a much shorter time scale, because the projects have to end, as Lily was saying, by the end of our 4 years worth of funding. So the end date won't move. So I would encourage you, if you can, to get in for the first cohort, because it will give you much more flexibility. And there are many different ways you can work it, as Ina said. So you could apply to do it as a full-time thing if you can negotiate that with your employers. You could do it part-time, but over a longer time scale. So the first cohort will have the best flexibility, but there is going to be a second cohort.
Can I just mention something?
Mm.
Just because you work in the same field, I assume you haven't met before, so you don't know each other, but have a thought about what ideas you have, because you might want to apply as a joint application.
Mm-hmm. And it really does boil down to what it is you're interested in. And I think that's why it's so important to have conversations with our researchers in residence early, really early. January at the moment, it sounds like it's a long time away, but it's going to come around so quickly. We're only talking 2 months, and we've got Christmas in the middle of it. And you've got to have had a formed idea. You've got to have consulted, make sure it fits with the communities of practice, had conversations with line managers, planned your timelines, costed your time, costed your training. That is time consuming. So the sooner that you start that process, the better, really. And I think, we all work in teams as researchers, so definitely there's room for that as a model. But that probably also does then mean lots more negotiation as well. So you just need to think through how that would work for you. So just allowing plenty of time for those conversations, really.
I just wanted to pitch in very quickly and reiterate what you and Ina have said already, Anne-Marie. Please talk to us about your ideas. It may feel daunting, and we're not downplaying that some time will be needed for the application, like Anne-Marie has explained. But don't let that put you off. Let's see what your ideas are, how exciting they are, how easy they are to shape into that application form. So if you're unsure, come talk to us. That's exactly why Lily and I and Wenjing, who's not here today, exist. I mean, probably not the only reason, otherwise it's an existential crisis, but it's certainly one of the reasons why we're here. And we'd love to talk to you about your ideas. And sometimes things seem like quite a challenge, or you can't find a solution until you talk to someone, and we're very happy to be those someones. So chat with us first, don't throw in the towel.
And especially things like for budgeting, or how you even go about finding the training that might be relevant, all of that kind of stuff. When you first read it in the form, I think I would have thought, I don't even know where to start with this, but again, that's why this opportunity is so unique, because we will give you pointers and let you know. We're also working with Gina, who's the co-lead from KCC, who's on leave today, but about people in KCC, for example, who can help us with that, and the kind of from the financial side and things like that. So whatever, I'm sure after this you'll have more questions, so please.
And what's really important is, you know, that you come with ideas that are applicable and relevant to practice, which you will, more so than any researcher that, you know, works outside of practice. The rest we can do together, you know, boiling ideas down to research questions, we're here to help. Addressing the how of it all, or, you know, what methodologies you may wish to go for. If you're not sure what fits best, again, we're here to help you with it. And the fellowships themselves for successful candidates will involve, you know, funded training. So it's not that, you know, you apply and then sink or swim, up to you. There'll also be opportunities to really advance your learning and research knowledge within it. So yes, come to us with ideas. That's in a nutshell. I waffled a lot, but in a nutshell, that is it. Come speak to us. Let's see how we can shape it up into an application, even if you're not 100% sure. And you might be. You may have written it, which we, you know, very much endorse as well. A number of us, including all researchers in residence, have access to and oversee the Kent Research Partnership at kent.ac.uk. It's just in chat, so that's your first point of call about anything. And then what ended up happening so far with people who are interested is we divide and conquer. So you kind of get the researcher in residence whose area of expertise or research experience matches your interests the most, because we are social care researchers. We're not just kind of randomly here. And then usually you work in a more one-to-one setting, but the initial meeting often happens with, you know, one or, well, two of us usually to choose from.
I can't imagine anyone else is going to join us now. So I think unless anyone's got any other questions, we can close the session and hope to hear from you both.